Specifically, he outlines two approaches, one based on the god Apollo and the other on the god Dionysus. In the sphere of the Apollonian, we find many of the things we now associate with classical beauty. There is form, reason, logic, pleasure to the eyes, and much, much more. In the Apollonian approach, the world is carved up and we try to make sense of it. In total contrast to this approach is the Dionysian. This is the equivalent of lifting the veil from the goddess recklessly and hastily. Nietzsche associates the experience of the Dionysian with things like drug-fueled orgiastic ecstasies, as well as the heights of musical rapture. It is a state defined by intoxication, of giving into our instincts, and a kind of ego death. For Nietzsche, our lives are very similar to works of art, and viewing them through this lens is what can help us make sense of the worst parts of them. It helps us take a step back and see the significance of all of our pain. If we can reason out that our lives are basically worthless and that death would be an acceptable scenario, then Nietzsche thinks that all that tells us is that we have become sick through our worship of logic. It will judge everything, including reason or morality, based on whether this will hinder or help our ability to love life unconditionally. Is it possible that sometimes reason could be existentially destructive, and it is actually the irrational that we need to embrace in order to have amor fati? Specifically, he outlines two approaches, one based on the god Apollo and the other on the god Dionysus. In the sphere of the Apollonian, we find many of the things we now associate with